We're seeing a huge milestone for Zebec and Zebec holders, and I think that this could just be the start of it. I think we're really seeing some nice and strong momentum, and especially as, hopefully, fingers crossed, the geopolitical issues start to get taken care of, I think this could just be the very beginning. So I want to talk a little bit about Zebec today, some of the things that have been happening recently over the past couple of days, and then also what we could see next as we start to see, but again, hopefully, potentially the sky's clearing for crypto. I think this could be a really great, really great summer potentially for us. So got a couple of different things to look at today. The first thing that I did want to show you guys though is the big news of the day, which is Zebec has officially crossed 76,000 holders. You can see a really nice little uptrend here over the past, couple of days. And so what we can see is that people were taking advantage of this opportunity of the fear in the market, of all the blood in the streets, all that type of stuff. And we could see that there was a lot of people who took advantage of this to actually increase their holder count, which is really good to see. So officially over 76,000 holders. For those of you, who are not maybe super familiar with smaller projects, this is actually one of the major metrics that I'm looking at is the holder count continuing to go up over time? Because that's really what's important. Price doesn't really matter. Of course, obviously price does matter at least a little bit, but it doesn't really matter in the long term, or in the short term, excuse me. In the short term, in my opinion, what matters the most is the number of holders going up. And we can see, especially in the short term, that we have seen a pretty decent increase in that, which is a good thing to see. So next, we can also see, that this is part of a little bit of, we dipped into some fear. Yesterday was actually kind of the first day in several months, basically ever since, the end of April, that we've actually been dipped back into fear. We actually have come back up into neutral. So, the optimism in the market is coming back a little bit. Again, the announcement of the hopeful end of the war in the Middle East, that is really kind of the thing that everybody's looking toward. And it's going to be a really bullish thing for markets if they can hold. Obviously, there are some concerns coming into place of whether that will actually hold and be permanent or not. But at least for right now, we're starting to see the market start to feel a little bit better about things. And so we are seeing the fear and greed index come back up a little bit. So that's good at least to see right now. Of course, who knows what the future holds, but that's what we're working with at least right now. So the next thing I want to show you guys too is when I went onto the Zebec website, we could see here that up at the very top, this is new, at least to me. I don't remember seeing this last time I was on the website, but we can see that the Telegram on-ramp bot is actually now live, which is really cool. We can see that they're starting to kind of make some of those strides to go ahead and actually start to drive adoption for the team and for users and for people trying to actually utilize and derive value from the Zebec network. I think Telegram, especially, if they're starting to focus into the crypto space, everybody has a Telegram, everybody uses Telegram. And so I think having a Telegram on-ramp bot is actually a really good idea. They can start there and then kind of expand, from there. So I do think this is a really interesting and smart play that they have gone down the path of. Again, we've been over this website before. So, if you are interested, it's zebec.io. You can go ahead and check it out. And, you can see the products that they're looking to build. We kind of did a little bit of an overview of this last video, so I'll be pretty quick here. But, products, company, the Zebec token itself, what governance looks like. If you're trying to get an airdrop, you can kind of learn more details about that. And then as well as just launching the actual app itself, you can go launch that and kind of see how it works as well too, if you are interested. Now, the next thing that I want to take a quick look at here is the Zebec token, because what we can see is, we've put these lines in a decent while ago. We could see that we've kind of been dancing around this key level of support down here at the 0.004 range. And so it's going to be really important to see kind of what happens in this range. Obviously, we kind of broke through it. Then we had a really strong green candle. We were above it. Now we've dipped below it again. We're just kind of dancing all over the place as it relates to this line. And again, keep in mind, that this is not like a bright line. You can see it's kind of more of a zone, maybe from like 0.37-ish or 0.0037, maybe even up to like 0.0042 potentially. So it is kind of that spread here where you can see where it's been dancing around. Currently, this candle is kind of still within that zone. However, this fake out or breakout or whatever we want to call it down to the downside here, this was indeed kind of falling outside of that range. You can also see it fell outside of the Bollinger Bands, as well as it actually did bounce off the 60-day exponential moving average. So you can see here a pretty clean, test, and then break off of it or bounce off of it, and then we're kind of seeing it kind of jump back into the middle here. We're also seeing it move into the middle of the Bollinger Bands, and the Bollinger Bands are squeezing pretty tightly. So we'll have to just kind of see how things are going here. Right now, the whole coin looking pretty neutral. We can see close-ish to kind of the average point here from the Bollinger Bands. It's pretty close-ish to the average point of the RSI. So again, I know there are probably some people who might be a little frustrated that, Zebec has kind of been falling down a little bit, but look at what we've seen recently. I mean, we've seen a massive move to the upside. If we actually go ahead and we actually take a price gauge here of like what this move was, this was a 920% move bottom to top. All right. And we have seen a move kind of from top to bottom so far of about negative 54%. So of course, a reasonably sized pullback here. But if you look at kind of just how far it went up to how far it's come down, it's not even close. I mean, we're still doing very, very well. This looks very XRP-esque or XRP-like, just given how much it's gone up and how well it's held, at least for right now. Now, of course, we do have to watch this continue to hold. Ideally, having this support hold would be the best, but there's no guarantees in life. We don't know for sure. And as I have mentioned before, kind of depending on the path that the market takes, it would not surprise me if we maybe come back down to this level here, this 0.002 level. So I am probably going to be, kind of avoiding doing any too heavy of DCAs, at least until we get down into this range, would kind of be my plan here. Can do small DCAs and have been doing some small DCAs up in this range, but nothing too crazy overall. So that's kind of the way that I've been looking at it and kind of my strategy so far. Of course, this is not financial advice. You do need to make your own decisions and kind of come to your own conclusions in terms of what you want to do, because I don't manage your money. I don't control your money. I don't advise you on how to spend your money. This is just me talking to you about my plans and things that I'm looking at and things that I might be considering doing. So hopefully it's helpful. If it's not, of course, feel free to not act on it or not do anything, because of course this is not meant to be advice at all. This is just me sharing my opinion. Now, moving along, as we can see here, actually, if we come back to the chart, we can see that things feel like they're in a pretty good spot. Now, of course, we've just been over this. If you are interested in trading the Zebec token, I do have the links to both BloFin as well as BTCC in the description below if you are interested. Both BTCC and BloFin have some nice sign-up rewards. BloFin has, I think, up to $5,000 in new customer deposits or in deposit bonuses if you are interested. And then BTCC does have that 10% bonus on first-time deposits, as well as up to $10,055 in deposit and volume bonuses as well. So if you're interested in either of those, just feel free to check the link in the description below and you can go on ahead and get signed up. Now, the last thing I want to take a look at here is, kind of looking through X, I saw this kind of nice little graphic. Digital G15 is the one who posted this. I'm not sure if they're the one that made it or if, maybe it came from somewhere else and they just reposted it. But I think that this is a really, really nice kind of succinct graphic that shows the top 4 utilities of the Zebec network. So of course, we've talked about this before, but you've got the real-time money streaming for payroll and salaries. I think this is a really, really cool tech improvement. I think this is something that probably is only enabled using crypto, just because you have that kind of instant, fast, seamless kind of payment network that you can access. Also, spending with crypto with the Zebec card. This is something, I've always been super bullish on, is finding ways to allow people to spend their crypto. I think is always going to be a good thing. We can see here the Zebec card, another great option here. You've got the decentralized infrastructure or the DPIN network. This is again kind of like, payment terminals and things like that, helping people get into more like retail places, maybe even like food and food and beverage, stuff like that. And you can also see, of course, the ZBCN token utility for governance and fees. So again, this has been the other thing that we've talked about with the token specifically. How does it work? Why would you hold it? A lot of that type of stuff. So a really, really cool kind of quick graphic showing you some of the main benefits of the Zebec network, which I think is really cool. Overall, though, I'm very excited and I'm very interested to see how things trend over the next couple of weeks. Now, of course, we have the market turning around a little bit. So far, at least over the past couple of weeks, we saw initially, maybe about a month ago, that there would have been maybe a little bit of a possibility of getting a bit of an alt rotation. Over the past couple of weeks, that has been very, very clear to be not the case at all. And so that's been a little bit of a challenge there. But for the rest of us who've been essentially trying to be patient and waiting for that time in the market, I think given some of the rotations that we have seen in various directions, we could kind of be setting up for a little bit more of an alt-friendly environment. I don't know this for sure. This is just my opinion, but I think it could be more possible, particularly now that some of these global issues appear to maybe be getting resolved. So if they do continue to get resolved, then this is going to be something that I think will be long-term very bullish. Now, if you are interested in having, hanging out with me, being able to contact me directly, things like that, I do have that link in the description below for my Discord channel. If you are interested, it's just connected to Patreon. Again, it's free, all that type of stuff. I'm just trying to use Patreon to hopefully better track and weed out scammers. But if you want to go to Patreon, sign up there. It's all free. You can come on in and start hanging out and ask me questions and hang out with the community, all that type of good stuff. So if that is something that's interesting to you, I've got that link to this description, or the link in the description below as well, if you are interested. Also, hopefully you found the information in this video useful. If you did, a like and a subscribe really, really does help me out. Helps me continue to grow and get pushed further into the YouTube algorithm, all that type of good stuff. So if you did find the information useful, it really does help me out and I would really appreciate it. And thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.